In this video, we are going to talk about anything that concerns a number basis, almost anything like converting from base 10 to other bases, or maybe from other base to base 10, the addition and multiplication. So make sure that you stay connected to the end of the video. Now look at the simple definitions of what a number base, or how best we can understand a number base here is assuming we have a human tribe, right? So you have a different tribes in this way. So let's say this is one tribe here, we call it a human tribe, and you have a different tribe here, that's what, maybe let's say a computer tribe. So this guy here have the way of doing their things, and these guys also have the way of doing their thing, and so on and so forth. Is that okay? Now if you want to move from this point to these people, the culture here, to other people's culture, you must obey their laws. You have to learn some of their culture before you can find it easy there, right? So how do you do that? So mathematically, what I mean that if you are human, let's say we are human here, we only understand base 10, but the computers don't understand that, right? These people here, they don't understand our language, so you have to convert whatever, you have to obey their culture before you can understand them better. Now mathematically, assuming this is what 8 base 10, right? This is 8 base 10, so this is the human language, so you only understand this language. Now you want to move from this place to base 2, you must obey their culture. And how do you do that? You have to learn their way of doing it. So the way of converting that is that this is a very simple method here. There's a simple method for you to move from human tribes to what a computer tribe, right? Now, so the way of doing that, this is just the format here, and then we have the 8 here, and then we want to go to base 2, and then this will be the remainder. So 2 here, we call it a division, right? So you have to divide. So the 2 will go into the 8 here 4 times, right? What remains here is 0, right? And then here 2 will go into 4, how many times? 2, and the remainder is 0. And then that same 2 will go into the 2 1, the remainder will be 0, right? At this point you can see that 2 can never go into 1, right? So 2 will go into 1 0, and then it remains 1 as it is. So your answer here start from down to top. Is that okay? Down to top. So 1 0 0 0. So base 8 to what base 2 here will be what 1 0 0. This is how you convert from what base 10 to what to base 8. What about if you want to convert from base 2 to base 10, or different base in the other ways, right? How do you do that? That's why I say you should make sure that you watch the video to the end if you want to know more about what a number base. Now let's begin. So here we want to convert any number from base 10, right? So base 10 to a different number. That could be 2 3 4 5 and so on, anywhere, right? So we are moving from this guy. So from the previous video, you said that assuming this is a human base, right? So a human base there, so you want to move from here to any other tribe. So how do you do that? So looking at this example here, we have what 23 base 10. We want to convert that to binary system. So the binary system here is what base 2, right? So the binary system here is what base 2. So if you don't see the base 2 and then you see the binary, then it means that it is what base 2. Now how do you do that? You do that by division, right? So we divide that. So we are dividing the 23 by what the base being given to us, or where we are going. So we want to obey their culture here. So this is what 2 here. So you start with a number being given. So 2 divided by 23, that should be 11. To go, the 2 will go here 11 times, and then the remainder will be 1, right? So 2 will go into 23 11 times, and then the remainder will be 1. We are more interested in the remainder, and then 2 will go into the 11 here how many times? So that should be 5, right? So 5 here, then remainder will be what? 1. Is that okay? And then 2 here will go into 5 how many times? That should be what? 2, and then the remainder will be 1. So here 2 will go into the 2 how many times? So that should be 1, right? So that should be 1, and then the remainder will be what? The remainder will be what? 0. Can you see that? And then 2 will go into 1. Pay attention. I think this is most of the students have a problem. 2 will go into 1 0. 2 cannot go into 1, right? So you cannot get 2 out of 1 cedi, maybe $1, right? If you're having $2, you cannot get $2 out of $1. So it's 0, and then the remainder is still at what remains here, right? Nobody is taking anything away, so the remainder is what 1, right? So the way of writing this answer here, so from top to down, sorry, from down to top, right? So from down to top, so that should be 1 0 1 1 1, right? So 1 0 1 1. So 23 base 10 is equal to this guy here in what? In base 2. Remember to add a base to that. So this is how you convert any base being given to you in base 10. Remember, I say in base 10. in base 10 to what? Any other base, right? So if you want to move from maybe let's say base 6 to base 2, you first of all need to convert this guy to base 10, and we know how to do that before you use this method and bring it down to base 2 here. If you have a problem, just make sure that you ask more questions, right? Ask more questions. Let's have a look at a simple way to convert any number in base 12, right, to decimal numeral. So decimal numeral is another name of what? Base 10. So okay, sometimes they can ignore this guy base 10 and bring what? Decimal numeral. So straightforward, you should understand that this is the same as what? Base 10. Now this is the question. You're having ET6 base 12, right? So in normal basis, this E here stands for 11, right? It stands for 11, and then the capital T stands for 10. Is that okay? So this guy is for the E, and then this T stands for 10, right? So wherever you see this E in normal basis, it means that this is 11. Maybe the initials of 11. Is that okay? And then this is also sometimes the initials of 10. Now let's see how to express this guy into base 12. You and I know about if you have something like 1, 2, 3, maybe let's say base 4, you want to convert this guy to base 10. That is the understanding of a human language, right? You know that you are going to multiply each of these terms. So each of this guy, that is the 1 multiplied by the base, right? Multiplied by the base plus what? 2 multiplied by the base, and then last one multiplied by, then you raise everything to the power starting from the right to left. And the same scenario is okay. The same scenario here you are having the first guy to be E here, so E multiplied by the base, right? So and then plus what? Second one is the T, so T multiplied by the base, and the last one is the 6, and then plus what? 6 multiplied by the base. So counting with the base, that is from a 0 here, 1, and then 2. Now as I said earlier on, this 11 tends to be what? This E here tends to be 11, so 11 multiplied by this guy, these two guys here gives me what? 144. So the 12 square here is what? 12 multiplied by what? Multiplied by 12, right? So that gives me 144. And then here to the same thing, here to 10 multiplied by what? 12 here, exponent 1 is same as 12, and the 6 multiplied by 1. So remember that any number raised to the power 0 is 1. So if you add everything up, you are going to get 1710, right? So here's a very nice example here. So I guess you should try this too, guys. Is that okay? And see the answer that you get and give us in the comment section below. Here's another simple one that involves what? Equations. So let's look at how to solve these guys in what? In number basis. Now we are having 133 base x, right, equal to 43 base 7, or maybe 43 base 7, right? 43. Let's say you should find the value of this guy. So the way of solving this guy is to convert each side of the equation to base 10, right? So numeral decimal. So we are going to convert this guy here to base 10, convert this guy also to base 10. So from the previous video, you know how to do that. Or the way of converting this guy is you take each number here, each of this guy, and multiply that by the base, and then raise to the power exponent. So let's look at how to do that. That will give me 1 multiplied by x exponent 2, y exponent 2 here, because maybe let's say you can start from here, starting from the left hand side, that's 0, 1, and then 2, right? So the way of doing that is what you pick the first guy, which is 1, multiply by what? X exponent 2 here, and then or maybe you can even ignore the exponent for now, right? And then so 1 multiplied by the x plus what? 3, which is the second guy, multiplied by the x, that's the base, and then the third guy plus what? 3 multiplied by x, right? Okay, now the counting here starts from the right to left. Is that okay? So maybe from here to that place. So that is how you count. You count by raising the exponent to 0, starting from 0, 1, and then 2, right? So 0. So I guess that method is okay. So you first of all expand everything before you raise to the exponent to avoid any confusion. So on the right hand side, so the same thing. You're having 43 base 7. So 4 multiplied by 7 here plus 3 multiplied by 7. So when you are done, you do the counting. So that is the 0 here. The exponent is being raised to the power of the base, not the number here, right? So the base. So raised to the power 0, and then raised to the power 1. Now, so when you are done, you expand the bracket, right? So, okay, you take off the bracket. That was 1 multiplied by x squared. That gives me x squared. here will be 3s, and then here will be 3. Look at something, don't be confused. X raised to the power 0 is 1, right? Any number raised to the power 0, that gives me 1. So 3 multiplied by 1, it will be what? 3. Okay, so the same thing here on the left hand, the right hand side too. If you expand, you are going to get 28 plus what? 3. Okay, so here you need to group, right? You need to group the items. So if you send everything to the left hand side, you are going to get what? S squared plus what? 3s minus 28 equals 10. This is what? A quadratic, right? This equation is a quadratic. So you are going to use a factorization method in solving that. So you get 2 factors. If you don't know how to solve this quadratic, make sure that you comment down below. So if you solve the quadratic, you are going to get what? S is equal to negative 7 and then 4. The base cannot be negative. Is that okay? The base cannot be negative. Therefore, you have that guy to be S is equal to 4 here is our answer. Okay. So here is a very nice one. So I guess you should try this, right? So you try this, and this is what 211 base of A, right? This is A is equal to 320 base 4. So they say you should find the value of A. Write your answer in the comment section below this. A number is written as 14 or 14 base n, right? So 14 base n. Okay, so if 3 times this guy, is that okay? So that's what the question says. They say if 3 times the number, so this is the number. So assuming your age is let's say you are 10 years old, so 3 times your age, what does it mean? It means that 3 multiplied by what? 10, right? So 3 times this guy. So okay, so 3 times this guy. Make sure that you put this thing in bracket. So 3 times this guy is equal to 45 base n, right? This is a very simple expression or equation that we are having, right? A number is written as this. This is how it's written. So 3 times the number, so 3 times multiplied by the number is equal to 45 base n. They say you should find the value of the n. Okay, this is very simple and straightforward. So you make sure that you deal with the bracket first, right? You deal with the bracket. The way of doing this is you have to expand each side of the equation into base 10. This is the language that human beings understand. So let's see how to expand each side here. And the way of expanding this thing is very, very important, right? So it's very, very important here. So make sure that you put this thing here into a bracket. Is that okay? So this guy, we are going to expand this guy into base 10. So that is what 1 multiplied by n, which is the base here, plus what the second guy, that's the 4 multiplied by the n. So the count starts from here, right? You are going this way. So the base being raised to the power from 0 and then 1. Is that okay? So from 0 and then 1. Okay, I always suggest that you should always expand first before you deal with the powers to avoid any confusion, right? So that's how you expand. Make sure that you put everything into a bracket, because the 3 is multiplying everything that is in this bracket. So the right hand side to the same thing, you expand out into a base 10. Okay, so clearly you can see that here gives me what? N here. This bracket here gives me n, because 1 multiplied by n exponent n, that's the n. And then 4 multiplied by n exponent 0. So this guy will give me 1. So 4 multiplied by 1, that gives me 1. So here to the same thing, you are going to have 4n plus what? Plus 5 here, right? So you have to expand the bracket at this point. Also the 3 multiplied by what? N, that gives me what? 3, and this guy gives me what? 12. So here you are going to group the items, right? So after grouping, you should arrive at what? 3 minus what? 4, and this guy crosses the equal sign, right? So 3 minus 4, and that is equal to 5 here minus what? Minus 12. Is that okay? So you should have out what? Negative n here. So this is very simple. This is 3 minus what? 4 here, that gives me a negative n, and then equal to a negative 7. So you are dividing both sides by what? Negative 4. So you have your n to be what? To be 7, right? Okay, at this point, let's see how to add and subtract in number basis. So we are going to use that with the help of this question here, and then here is also another one, right? So here this guy is missing here, and then here's a third one, right? So make sure that you watch the video to the end. Now at the beginning of the video, I made a statement that this is in base 5, right? This guy is in base 5. So we are no more in human planet. Is that okay? We are no more on what? This human planet or the tribe of a human. But here, since we are human beings that are going to perform the operation, so we will do that according to our human being. What I mean here is what is in base 10, right? So you perform everything in base 10. When we are done, we convert it to what? The normal basis, or the base being given to us. So here is what? Base 5. So that should be a 3 plus 4. That gives me 7, right? So 7 there is what is in what a base 10, because I'm a human being performing the operation. So once I get a 7, I have to convert that to the base being given to me. Is that okay? So how do you convert that? So initially we know how to do that. That is what you find the number here and the remainder. So I had 7, right? And then the base that we are dealing with was 5. So if you divide, this guy will go into that how many times? Just 1. Then the remainder will be 2, right? Remainder will be 2. Okay, now if the remainder remains 2 here, then you keep on what dividing. So 5 will go into 1 0, right? 5 cannot go into 1 0, and then what remains here is what we are looking for. That is 1 here. So the answer there is what 1 2, right? 1 2 base 5. So how do you write that? You cannot write everything here, so you write the last one. So that is 2 here, and then if it is 2, then we are left with a 1. Is that okay? If you are left with 1, so this 1 added to the 0, that gives me 1, and then 1 plus 0, that should be 1. Is that okay? And then 3 plus plus 1 here, that gives me what 4, right? So 4, because 4 is everything is less than the base. Is that okay? That is the most important thing. Everything is less than the base. So the answer to this is what 4 1 2 base 5, right? So this is how simple you perform this operation here. Now let's look at the other guy here. So this guy here is what in the case of what subtraction, right? So the same idea, you have to perform your subtraction when you are done, then you convert out to the base being given to you. Is that okay? But the trick here is that here, if you want to borrow, right, look at something, look at the trick here. Okay, maybe before that, let's take this question here. You are going to have 1 minus 2, right, which is not possible, right? You cannot take 2 out of the 1. Is that okay? So you need to borrow. You need to find a solution to that. You don't have a money here, so you need to borrow. The guy next to your neighbor here doesn't have that, right? This is your neighbor here doesn't have this is 0. The next one also doesn't have. So this is the only person that can help us here. Now we are going to borrow from this guy. So what do you borrow? You are going to borrow 1, right? So you borrow 1. Now look at something. If you borrow 1, it becomes 3. Why 3? Because this is the base being given to us. Is that okay? So look at something. Look at something. Now in human basis, right? In human base, that is the base 10. Now if you have 120 minus 15 here, so how to do this thing way back is 0 minus 5 here, which is not possible. So you need to take some money from this guy, right? So you need to take 1 from this guy. So to that, if you take 1 to this guy, what is the number here? This guy doesn't become 1, it becomes 10. Is that okay? Because here is 0. That tells you that you are borrowing 10 instead of 1. So we are dealing everything in base 10, right? So if you borrow 1 from this guy, it becomes 10. So the same idea here is that if you borrow anything in the base being given to you, it becomes the base that has been given to you, right? So we can borrow. So we are going to borrow from this dental guy here. So you are going to borrow 1 here. If you borrow 1, this guy becomes 0. That 1 tends to be 3, right? You cannot jump all these houses here. Are you getting the point? You cannot jump. So we borrow 1 from this guy's house already 1. So if you take the 1, then the thing that left there is just 0. So if you borrow 1, here becomes 3, right? So we are not yet to where we are going. So we need to borrow from this guy again. So if you borrow from this guy is left with we'll be left with that should be 2, right? That should be 2, and then that one that we borrow becomes 3 at this point. Is that okay? Still, we want to go to this place, so this guy you still have to borrow 1 from here. You'll be left with 2, and then anything that we borrow becomes 3. So 3 here, right? So this 3 added to this guy becomes 4, and then 4 minus 2, that gives me 2, right? And then here everything here goes away. Is that okay? So we are going to left with 2 here. That is the guy here is 2 minus 2, that should be 0, right? And then this 2 minus 1 here, that should be 1, and then this guy is left with nothing. So that's just a point there. So remember, everything is in base 3. So the answer to this question is 102 and then base 3. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and share the links. Now here's another one. So at this point here, they want us to find the missing number here. Is that okay? So we are performing the operation in base 4, right? We are performing the operation in base 4. Then they want us to find these guys are missing. Now let's bring this down to the human understanding. What I mean by the human understanding, that is in base 10, right? So if you have 5 minus something is missing here, then I was told that the answer is 3. Right, this is very simple and straightforward. Then here you can see that the missing number here is 2, right? Because the numbers that we are dealing with are very simple. That's why you manage to see that the missing number here is 2. But the way of doing this thing is that you are going to subtract this guy from what, the top here. Can you see? So that should be what, 5 minus the answer, and remember that should be what, equal to 2. Right, that is how we got it. So we are going to use this idea here in performing our operation. So this guy tends to be 3012 base 4 here, and then minus the answer, and that is what, 1333 base 4. Is that okay? That is what, 1333 base 4. So we know how to subtract already. So here we are going to have a 2 minus 3, which cannot be possible. So we need to borrow from here. Remember what I said earlier on. So here at this point here, if you borrow, you are left with nothing. So we borrow that. Anything that we borrow is what, is 4 here, because we are dealing with what, in base 4. So this guy tends to be 6, and then 6 minus 3, that should be 3. I guess you should pause the video at this point and finish up and come back and check your solution. So congratulations for doing that. Now let's move on at this point, right? So here we are here, right? We are in this column here. So this guy has nothing, right? This guy has nothing again. So that will be 0 minus 3, which is not possible. And then this guy, our next neighbor, doesn't have any amount of money here, so we need to move on to the next person, right? So we are going to borrow from this guy. So if you borrow 1, this guy is left with 2 here, and then whatever you borrow becomes 4 at this point. Is that okay? So we remember where we are going. We want to go at this point. So we are going to borrow 1 from this guy. So this guy will be left with 3 here, and anything that we borrow becomes what, 4, right? Anything that we borrow becomes 4. So the 4 added to that should be what, 4 here, right? And then 4 minus 3 here, that should be what, that should be 1. Is that okay? 4 minus 3, that should be 1. Okay, now here we are here, so that should be 3 minus 3 here, that should be 0, right? 3 minus 3, that should be 0, and then here we are left with 2, right? So 2 minus 1, that should be 1. We are free to go. Is that okay? So the answer to the question here is 1013 and then base 4. So this guy is missing, right? You can verify. You can decide to replace this guy here to check whether if you subtract, you are going to have the answer that is in this question. Now let's look at how to perform the operations in what, using a table, right? Tables in what, in normal basis. At this point, let's look at the additions in base 8. So when we are done with the addition, then we move on to the multiplication. So make sure that you stay connected, right? So here's the question. It says that we should copy and complete the table. So this is a table, right? So addition here, and then the table is 1, 3, and then 5 and 7, right? So here we are also having 1, 3, 5 and 7. So we are going to copy this table and just complete. That's all that they are asking of us. And then we are done. We should use the table to solve these equations, right? So this equation, and this is 1, that is the 3 plus or x is equal to 12, and then n plus n is equal to 6. So those are the 2 questions under the table that we are being asked to solve. Now let's begin. Here we are having 1 plus 1. That is very easy. This is just, by the way, that should be 2, right? So that should be 2. If you know that it's not 2, make sure that you comment down below. Is that okay? Yeah, obviously that is 2, right? So 1 plus 1, that gives me 2. And then in base 8, of course, in base 8, since the number is not up to 8 or above 8, then we leave it as it is. Is that okay? That's the nature of the base. So these people here, they only understand base 8, right? They don't understand anything more, nothing less. Okay, so 1 plus 1 gives me 2, and then 1 plus 3 here, that should be 4 here, not up to 8 or more than 8. So 1 plus 5, that should be 6. Is that okay? And then 1 plus 7, so that should be something. So there's an empty space here, so they say we should copy and complete. So how are we going to manipulate this portion here? So Of course, 1 plus 7, that should be equal to 8, right? 1 plus 7, that should be equal to, remember we are dealing everything what in base 8. That's the only language that these people can understand. So you need to convert this guy to base 8. You know how to convert this guy. So the addition that we perform is in base 10. Is that okay? Since I'm a human being performing the operation, you watching me right now, you're a human being performing the operation. So when you're done, you need to convert back to the language that these people understand, right? Okay, so they only understand base 8, so let's convert that to base 8 here. So here we had the answer to be 8, and then we are staying 8, right? We are staying 8. So the base, the number here, the base here, and then the remainder, right? So this guy will go into this guy how many times? Just 1, and then remainder 0, and then we move on again. So 8 will go into 1, 0, right? 8 can never go into 1, right? And then the remainder is still this guy. That is what? 1. Right, that is 1. So very perfect. The answer to this guy is from top down to top here. That should be 1, 0. So 1, 0 base 8. Okay, so this guy here, this portion of you, 1, 0 base 8. Is that okay? If you have any question, make sure that you comment down below. Now these are some of the empty space here. This guy here, this guy here, this guy, as well as finally this guy. So I guess you should pause the video and try your hands on this and come back and check the solutions. Okay, thank you for doing that. Now let's check the solution out. So we have another empty space here. We have that to be 4, right? Straightforward. That was 3 plus 1. That gives him 4 here, which is not up to 8. So we will leave it as it is. And then there's another portion here. So that's 5 plus 3. That should be 8, right? So if the answer is 8, maybe if you are straightforward, you consider here we had 8. So it will be the same answer here, right? So that is 1, 0. And then the next one is 5 plus 5. That should be 10. Is that okay? The answer should be 10 here, but remember we are dealing everything in base 8, so you need to convert that to base 8. So here was 8, so this guy will go into this guy 1, right? So the 8 will go into this 10 1, and then we move on with the with the base here. Is that okay? Yeah, I guess they said maybe you should correct that. This is an arrangement. The number is at the middle, and then the base is here. Is that okay? The number is at the middle, and then the base is here. So let's do that quick correction here. So here we are having here to be 10, and then here the base is here. Is that okay? Okay, now perfect. The 8 will go into the 10 how many times? Just 1, right? So just 1 here, and then we are having the 8 here. So this 8 here will still go into 1. Okay, let's check the remainder. I guess you should do that, right? So the remainder here is 2. So the 8 will go into this in 0, and then we are left with 1. So the answer is 1, 2. Is that okay? 1, 2 base 8. So here that's how I got 8 here. So the rest of the questions, that is how simple you need to perform your operation. Now this is very important. Pay close attention. They say use the table. Is that okay? Use the table. You cannot go beyond this thing. This is the only tool that has been given to you to use. They say you should use the table, right? So we are going to use the table here. That is the 3 plus x here is equal. So 3 plus this guy must give us 1, 2, right? So 3 plus this guy must give us. So where's the guy? You just need to read. Go back to your question or the table here, right? So here we are having 3. So 3 plus whatever is here should give him what? 1, 2, right? So this is what? 1, 2 here. So 3 plus 7 here should give him what? 1, 2, right? From the table. Can you see? So 3 plus 7, that should be equal to 1, 2 here. So that tells you that this x here is 7, right? So the answer to this guy is 7. So x is equal to 7. Is that okay? So what about this? What about this guy? Maybe you should pause. Well, the meaning of this thing is that if you have the same variable, right? So whoever is here is the same person that I'm seeing here, and then they said that if you add this guy plus that same person, you should give him a 6. So the number that is here has to be the same number here, right? They cannot interchange unless the other way these variables or the letters here are different. Once they are not different, you have to make sure that any number is here is the same number that is here. So let's begin with the 1, right? So that is the first portion here. So this is what 1 here. So 1 plus 1 does not give me 6, right? And then what about the 3? So 3 plus 3 here is equal to 6. Perfect. Okay, let's look at in the case of multiplication. So we are given this set, right? So we are given this set, that is 1, 2, 3, and then 4 base 6. They say you should perform the multiplication, right? The idea remains the same in the case of addition, but here just that we are going to multiply instead of what? Adding. And then straightforward, you consider 1 multiplied by 1, that should be 1, right? So and then 1 multiplied by 2, yeah, that should be 2, and then 1 multiplied by 3, that should be 3, and then this also be 4. Maybe I think you should pause the video and fill in the spaces and come back and check the solution. In case of this guy here, so as at this point here, look at something. You have 2 multiplied by 2, yeah, that should be 4, and then 2 multiplied by 3, that should be 6, right? And remember that we are dealing with everything in base 6. Once you get to the 6 or any number that is more than 6, you need to convert that. Is that okay? Because these people, they only understand up to what? Up to 6 language. Okay, now how do you convert? You know how to easily convert. So the base here, and then the number that we had 6, and then what? The remainder. Is that okay? So this guy going to this guy 1, and then remainder 0, right? So 6 here, 6 will go into 1, which is not possible. So 6 will go into 0. It cannot go into this guy 0, and then we are left with the 1 as it is. So from down to top, we are going to have what? 1 0. So here is what? 1 0, right? So make sure that you just fill in all the spaces. Is that okay? You fill in all the spaces. At the end, you have been asked to solve these equations here. They say x 2 multiplied by x here is equal to 2, right? So this guy is just missing, and then make sure that you write your answer in the comment section below. And then the second part says that m multiplied by m should be equal to 4. So the number multiplied by itself has to be equal to 4. Of course, we are using the table. Is that okay? So make sure that your table is correct. Comment down below if you have any problem on this, and then we are ready to see your answer in the comment section.